Hello, it's me again, back with another day of Axie Infinity Origins Season 1 meta-analysis, and team highlight today is day 11, I believe. Oh, actually no, it's day 12 already, I think. And so yeah, 2 more days, I think, around there before we get the balance patch. I'm not exactly sure, but I mean, we do know what's going to be the balance patch. And yeah, AoE is getting nerfed, but today's highlight, I'm actually going to see an AoE team. And it'll be interesting to see after the nerf in a few days' time whether, well, I won't say nerf, but balance changes, right? We'll see AoE will be on top. Okay, but let's just look at the today's leaderboard, and you do see some new names. So Spam and Rice, who was the second. Who was second on the ladder for season 0 and also second in the tournament, I believe, during the AxieCon for Origins. And yep, so very consistent streamer. So yep, getting on top finally, I guess, for Spam and Rice. Let's see how long Spam and Rice gets to stay there. And then let's just look at the rest. So you do see sustain the beast stuff, but interestingly, yeah, seeing the more traditional kind of attack. So in this case, pendulum scale is always a must, and then usually a bird or a aqua or 2 aquas, with bloodlust, that kind of thing, pretty common. Yeah, a bird and a beast also pretty common. So basically some attackers at the back, so a bird and a beast. Aqua and a beast as well. So a combination of these basically. Yeah, so I think the attacking team, like the aggro teams, are coming back in a way. But it's still very balanced. The only thing that's kind of missing is really the poison build, which you don't really see that much other than, I guess, block style, which we featured yesterday. Yeah, maybe not too sure why don't really see more poison. I mean, it's definitely proven that you can actually get up there. Yeah, maybe it's just harder to play. I'm not too sure. Harder to get the Axies, but of course the beast one is really the one that's probably the easiest to get to. And yeah, you do see some all plants kind of sustain as well, which I do quite like, and maybe I'll feature that at some point. Yeah, so some all plants sustain without the Dawn, which I also featured one before. And yeah, so I would say pretty good. So that, well, still challenger, I must say, still very strong, right? But then a more end of the challenger. Actually, this is not even end, but this is like 19, close to 1900, right? You do see some poisons coming in. Okay, so I'm not going to scroll too far. I'm just going to quickly look at the runes and charms market, and yeah, this is today's market in a way. Not much changes. Still, I think the price definitely has stabilized in a way. So Bloodlust still probably the strongest. Despite the nerf coming, still selling the highest. And then in terms of the charm, I feel like the price is slightly dropping, but I think it's also stabilized. You see the Mask of Frenzy is really dropping quite a bit, despite the beast build still being very strong. So I feel like it's really just because the demand, I mean the supply is just a lot. Maybe, well, hopefully it is a good thing where there are more players playing Origins compared to, say, season 0. And of course, not everyone is playing the beast team, and yeah, maybe if more players play, but maybe more casual plays. That's why I'm thinking, right? It's more casual players where they're just playing, it's like any 3 Axies kind of team, right? But they do have a chance to get this. But of course, if you don't really have a particular team that can make use of it, it's kind of useless, and you might as well just sell it off. So that's why. But of course, you do have the demand. Because there will be very strong players who want to push for the highest of the leaderboard, or even just a top 100, top 200 or something, right? They do want a like this kind of important charm for their build. And similarly can be said for Bubble as well. So this is basically the Bubble, Bloodlust, Aqua stuff, and then this is the Beast Fury stuff. And then the rest, not much. I'll actually be interested to see how many people actually need these at the end, and what moves they use it for. I assume it's probably mostly for stun, disarm, sleep, those kind of thing. But it could be for something else as well. So it'll be interesting, yeah, if you do know like what kind of other moves that you use the sun and the moon stem, do let me know. Okay, so let's just get right into today's team that I want to highlight, which is Spam and Rice's team. And let's see how. So basically the team is a beast at the front, bird in the middle, and the aqua at the back. And you can see very nice beast with, I think, this Japanese decoration here at the Japanese part. Okay, let's just look at the let's look at the front first this time around. Okay, because it is quite I would say typical. You do get an AoE chubby instead of the little piece, which sometimes you'll see. So this is more of an AoE build. You can see I have AoE. Execute pretty good for Death Mark. Actually, I would say it's pretty strong. I'm not sure if it's gonna get nerfed, but I personally played it. It is pretty strong. The reason being, well, 60 damage is like a normal card, but then the Death Mark on the same turn can already give you maybe 30 damage. Of course, if you're lucky with like extra energy stuff, like you can get like 45 damage on that turn, and it applies for 4 turns, meaning you get another 3 attacks off, right? So that is in total, let's say if you get 5 attacks off, that is like 75 extra damage, which is just crazy. It's just free damage, right? So that's why I think yeah, that's a very strong card. And then okay, Innocent Lamb, Corontail is just the typical getting 2 free energy kind of thing. Draw card also pretty important, especially when you get into there will be times where you get into 2 of these 0 energy card at the same turn, and having a card draw at least makes it feel a bit better. And Pokey can be very interesting because I'm not sure if they actually play a charm on this, and maybe we'll see later. But it does allow you to bypass the shield or the front. Usually people put the shield at the front, right? You might want to bypass it and then hit another Axie. So that could be pretty good. And then let's just look at the mid, and then it is a very typical bird. Basically, it's a very typical AoE bird. You can see 3 AoE cards here, very strong, with an eggshell as well, diverting the attack, so meaning saving the beast for a while. Or reason being, you don't really want this beast to go down that quickly. You do want to use both of these free energy before your beast go down, so this will help the beast to stay alive for a little while, well, a turn or 2. And you have the AoEs, not just for the AoE, but also of course vulnerable, doubt for the to go against sustain. All of these are pretty good. And yeah, so Katara again during Death Mark. In this case, again, not sure if they play a charm or something, but Death Mark also very strong. I would like to see whether like AoE is still viable after the nerf, but yeah, but now of course still very strong. And let's just see. Okay, I don't think Little Owl does too much, but still good damage card, especially against sustain. But yeah, I think this is more like a filler card. It could be something else, I feel. And then let's see the back. For the back, it is a very strange aqua, but it works in this case. It's because you can see, right, it's yeah, I would say pretty interesting kind of genes, but ultimately it's the cards that matters, and you do see the 3 AoE cards, and that is the most important ones. And you do get the Risky Fish as well, which is very strong. Risky Fish is always something you want to have. Deal basically 90 damage plus whatever charm is going to be using. And let me see, actually, Hardy Warrior, so deals even more. Raven's Tactic also AoE deals insane damage, at least when in early games, which is what it matters really, because in the end game you do want an end game with a back Axie that can do strong attacks, single attacks. So you don't really want to just have AoEs, just because once you get into a one-on-one situation, you do have Risky Fish, that kind of thing, to finish your opponent off. And Fragile, very strong as well, to deal with sustain or poison, or like basically stuff that plays shields. And yeah, a bit of a heal as well is always good. So yeah, so this is how this team is, and let's just actually look at how it's being played. That is for the easiest way to learn about the team. Okay, let me pause here and let's just see the actual team runes and charms stuff. But one downside of running this kind of team is that you do have like a few burst card, a bug one, and and 3 aqua. So meaning the runes and charms, like the so-called, is it called energy? I forgot what is it called, right? That allows you to put the total number of runes and charms, the points, yes, the points. Is not as like much as if you just use all aqua card or something. So that's why actually nothing too special I think in this case, but still very strong just because the cards are very strong. Let me just look at this. Similarly, actually nothing too exciting other than just like some damage or actually more of the vitality rune. So just want to stay alive as long as possible, so you can see still very high so all vitality, it looks like very high HP. So I feel like vitality is actually the more like go-to charm for the highest level, it looks like. So having more bulk actually is better because most of the cards deals the damage, and then the charms give you the extra HP. It seems like that is basically the case as well. And yes, I suspected correctly, right? So this allows you to basically target the opponent's back, and sometimes the back is the one that really like has some sort of a high damage kind of thing, or the win con for the opponent, right? Let's say if they have a Gila or they have a I don't know, like let's say the beast one, right? So maybe the high damage beast is at the back or something, then this allows you to target the back and actually try to kill the back. So that is one additional option. Okay, let's just let's quickly look at the opponents as well. So in this case, just a typical I think aggro kind of build. Interestingly, okay, not just aggro, but it is a Fury beast build, but with an aqua with the bloodlust. So basically leaving all the rage stack for the front and the back. I think yes, Stu has these charms to help you with it, and that's why you don't really need all 3 beasts, and you do have aqua to give you the extra energy and just more damage and card draw and so on. Okay, so let's just play and see how it goes. Okay, very strong, vulnerable turn 1. And yeah, so of course opponent also I'm pretty sure that at this level now every opponent is a challenger. They're very strong. So okay, Grammar's fan, do they go for just basically 2 Grammar's fan? This one, yep, there's no reason not to. So now opponent basically has many turns of Grammar's fan, unless the opponent has a cleanse, but in this case of course that doesn't, because it's mostly an attack versus attack kind of build. Yeah, okay, so not too bad. Using all the cards. And do cleanse. Actually, another thing right now does have a cleanse, and I'm not too sure why. It might be worth cleansing the front just to save it from some damage, but of course you know that it is against an AoE team, so you do want to actually cleanse the back so that the back might still survive and not takes too much damage from the AoE. So that's actually definitely a better move, and you can see how much the death mark is doing already. That's why death mark very strong. It already did 30 damage. Okay, wow. Okay, so opponent actually getting cut because of it is an AoE, so against an AoE. So oh wow, in a way wasting the Fury, which is a bit at least get 1 energy but not really using it. But because this again is an AoE build, so you do get the Shiba value pretty easily. Let's get through the front. But the AoE is really doing a lot. Another AoE as well. Yep, so AoE just gives you a lot more value. And yeah, I would say even though AoE is being nerfed, but then actually I don't think that does, like, let's say this particular build that Span Rise using does, like, it uses that much AoE synergy that was nerfed. So in that sense, I don't think that much will change. Okay, but Golda, but you can see, well, it's still quite close, but I think the early Grandmaster, like double Grandmaster fan is a key, because you can see opponent is still vulnerable after so many turns, and then another AoE finish the mid, and then now it is the single attack time. Kind of Katara at the back, and yeah, just any attack card will then just KO. Very clean. Well, just finish it off in turn 8. There's of course a pretty lucky draw with the 2 Grandmaster fan at the front at the beginning, but still, well, very smooth win, I would say. Okay, so let's look at another game that might be less smooth and see how this one goes, because of course it's a card game, so you do get a lot of some occasions where your cards doesn't go the right way. So let's just see how this one goes. Okay, go again as sustain. So okay, let me just quickly look through this again, and this time I should look at the opponent, because sometimes I forget to look at it. Yeah, I think the leaf pretty strong. Strawberry as well. Actually, getting the mushroom could be quite good as well. Just because it can block some attack, but in this case doesn't do much, just because it is against an AoE team. Sakura, a lot of shield, so nothing too special. The only special thing is that it does allow you to redraw some cards, and of course a bit of attack is always good to finish off opponents. This is actually pretty interesting, because it is a card where you can stealth yourself and like basically allows opponent, or basically the opponent might bypass this and divert the attack to the next Axie, so that could be pretty good. And yeah, Walk Echo very strong with all the shields and heal as well. And then actually Death Mark is interesting in this build. I'm not too sure why, because it doesn't have that many attacks, but I guess if you do want to target like a Mavis or any opponent that you want to finish off, it is an option. So yeah, interesting build, and let's just see how this one goes. Okay, starting with Sakura. Are they gonna banish it? No. Okay, that's keeping everything for now. Okay, this time around doesn't get the double Grandma's Fan, but does get the double feathers, tri-feathers, so meaning the heal will be quite low. I don't think opponent has okay, does have a cleanse up here, so yeah, they do use a apply cleanser, so meaning if there's a vulnerable or something going here, right, it won't get the vulnerable, so you can see this cleanser, very important. Getting the fear also is a bit tough. But yeah, do manage to well, hit another opponent, so this usually helps. Okay, and actually interestingly applied taunt to the back, not too sure, I mean rather than doing the AoE, which I'm a bit surprised, but okay. Okay, just healing, yep. And this time, I'm not too sure why they play this. Okay, of course it does get a bit of healing, but it will go down to AoEs, so that's why we're not the best of value over there. Okay, so this is where Grandma's Fan comes in. Crazy damage, 51 all across the board with 1 energy. Yes, this is a pretty crazy AoE team, I must say. Let's just see what is coming. Okay, another heal. Strawberries. They're gonna go for Walk Echo? No. Yeah, okay, interesting. Maybe just to let the front actually go down, and yeah, not too sure if that's, you know, I mean, of course, obviously I don't pilot this the opponent's team, so I don't really know, but yeah, okay, really just giving up the front there. Probably does his job already, and now just focusing on these two. And the part of the reason, of course, you are playing against an AoE team, so you do want to just like focus on fewer Axies. Okay, more shield, and interesting, is still not playing the Walk Echo. But yeah, opponent is very low already, so not too sure how they actually come back from this. Yeah, but maybe, yeah, let's just see. The AoE team does struggle against sustain, just because at the end game you do get draws like a lot of AoEs, which is not ideal. But yeah, so opponent very low already, so it might just be a bit of a weakness of an AoE team where you just draw too many AoE cards, and the opponent is really just focusing on one single Axie, just healing and shielding, and not really caring about the damage at this point. So very smart from the opponent, where realizing that going against an AoE team doesn't matter, you just have to keep an Axie alive. And this Axie with the Rise and Ruin probably is the best one to keep alive, because the shield card does heal you as well, so it does get an insane amount of value. So okay, so you can see, right, the heal, and yeah, it's just putting a lot of shields at this point. But yeah, then the cleanser also very important, I feel, just because you do get well, rid of that debuff. But you can see, right, Spam and Rise try very hard just to get the doubt on. Yeah, the doubt is definitely very important. So the vulnerable and doubt very important in this matchup, and I think a fragile will be coming as well, because Spam and Rise does have a fragile, and it is a very important like tech, especially against this kind of like sustain where your AoE card is not going to do too much to only one Axie. So you can see I'm drawing in a lot of AoE cards. So now I literally have to rely a lot on the non-AoE kind of card, right? So trying to keep the vulnerable as much as possible and then just keep hitting. Alright, so here is only Blood Moon only comes now, which is actually pretty, I won't say late, but like it takes a while. You can see the amount of value, right? Shielding, but also healing a lot. Still keeping the strawberry. This is why Risky Fish and this kind of card is run, and Eggshell is run as well. This as a single strong attack card, and pumping up the little owl as well. Actually getting very close to finishing off the opponent. Does heal and shield and heal as well, and probably use the strawberry at this point. Yep. So vulnerable is very tough, I would say. Being able to keep the vulnerable actually is a big plus, just because you can see the cleanser still there. Okay, but still managed to get the Tri-Feather, I assume. Yeah. So, but of course, by trying to put the debuff on, meaning you do sacrifice the damage, and that might not be the best play. Because at this point, I think you just need to deal the damage. Put another cleanser on, so very strong, the opponent's team. Let's see if you can see drawing the AoE cards at this point is just bad. It's just not bad, but it's just tough, I would say. And then now of course you just have to play the AoE card. Getting the confused is also tough because of the shield, and you're really shuffling a lot of confused card into a deck. So I think this is how the opponents manage to out shield and heal Spam and Rise. So this is basically a weakness of AoE team, as you can see. And so if you do want to beat an AoE team, then definitely think about sustain and know how to play against it. Meaning you want to stack on just keeping one Axie alive, focusing on keeping one alive, and of course it's the one that with Rise and Rune is the one. But in this case actually still managed to take down an opponent, but it is a draw. So still not didn't manage to heal back everything, but getting a draw against the top is a pretty good result. So actually let me see if there are any results that it's a genuine kind of loss, because you can see has to scroll back down a lot to get to this point. And maybe let's just look at this one. It looks like it could be a loss for this one, because it is quite a lot of points down. Let's just quickly look at this one as well. So we've looked at a win, a draw, and then I would assume this is a loss. And let's see how I assume this one is the opponents managing to outrace Spam and Rise this time round. So let me just quickly pause it a bit here. It's the same thing pretty much, I would assume. Don't expect that to change too much. And the opponent, very typical Shiba card draw, I love confident, little piece all across the board kind of team. Interestingly, the mid has the little branch, but also Innocent Lamb, confident, Corntails are getting a free energy as well. And then so all the rage stuff with the Ronin here as well. So note that the other two, this one also has Ronin, and this one has a card draw. So let's just see how this one goes. I think interestingly, it's just going for the damage right away. So it is realizing that it is a race. So just try to deal as much damage as possible, and also of course getting a bit of rage stat is pretty good. So definitely not using the confident, but do use it as an energy. So it does have an option, which is pretty strong for the opponent. Interestingly, not doing this AoE across the board, but trying to deal with the front. or just probably just to save the front from dying, I feel. So this is a pretty good play, but of course now getting below half, meaning the HP below half, meaning the damage is gonna be a bit lower, because Riven tactics is that once you are below half, it is the well, you take 20% less damage as opposed to dealing 20% more damage. Okay, opponent really getting to the Fury mode with the Ronin. That is the Ronin is from the other Axie, but still I'm managing to get the extra energy. You can see, right, it's not, sometimes it's not about the extra damage, but the extra energy managing to get through the front. And now Sweat and Rise actually didn't get to use any of the so-called extra energy cards because the front is down. Yeah, so it is a race, and I feel like opponent actually like still getting quite close to dropping, but yep, does get the Shiva value, and I think that is yeah, enough to take through the bird as well, and then still got an extra energy for the Ronin. And now I think Sweat and Rise is very much behind, and with just one Axie against all three, especially with Pendulum Scale here, it's just gonna be pretty tough. You know, still dealing insane amount of damage with the AoE, but it's just a bit too slow. I guess too much behind at this point. The opponent on the verge of turning into Fury mode as well, and now you're getting confident despite only having one attack card. Probably is gonna be enough. Oh, interestingly, not even turning into confident. Not too sure why. Keeping it for now. Yeah, so very interesting. To not use the extra damage, but still couldn't really get through with the Pendulum Scale. So yeah, I'm not too sure what happened in the last turn for the opponent, but still, I mean, Sweat and Rise was too far behind that it doesn't even matter at this point, and that is GG. So yes, so you can see how the Beast team can outrace the AoE team to get the win. Okay, so that is it for today. So you've seen how you can use sustain build to at least get to a draw. If of course if the draw didn't go quite well, could be a win as well. And also using a Beast Fury team, if you draw well, then you can definitely outrace this kind of AoE build. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether AoE build after the nerf will be performing less well, but time will tell, I guess. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed my video, do consider giving me a like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, and use my Lenosian code Morris. Thanks again, and have a good one.